welcome to the Everything Sparkle Show. I am so excited about our first guest. He has a really great message. Bryce, how are you today?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Tell me how this project got started and how many hikers you're going to need for this mission in Yosemite, because you said you needed more.
Correct.
What's our vision? What's our goal of how many hikers we're going to get?
Well, the park only allows me to have a maximum of 10 people for an overnight extent. So that's the max amount of hikers I can have. Currently, I have one with a possible P. So it's just myself as it stands right now. However, on the weekend, Saturday, August 10th and the 11th, there are multiple people coming up just for the weekend venture because we're walking on popular day hiking trails that are in Yosemite.
Okay, what started this mission?
Okay, so with the 22
Mini,
there's a lot of studies done through the VA that talk about the average amount of veterans, military service members committing suicide every day is 22. So they took that average, said 22 too many, and a lot of different organizations have taken that and created different charities based off of that information. So I work or represent 22 too many. They actually wear pictures of people who have taken their own lives. So when we're out there walking in Yosemite, we have pictures of someone who's taken their own
Who
life.
started 22 Too Many?
There are 3 women who did this out on the East Coast. I don't know specifics of where they are, but that's mostly where they work, and they travel up and down doing marathons, 5Ks, to do that. And then I just asked 5 years ago, like, instead of running, can I walk through Yosemite? And instead of doing it for a day or doing the traditional 22, can I walk for a week and just spread awareness for an entire week? And they granted me permission to do that, and this is my 5th year doing that.
What made you want to get involved with this?
Well, myself, I kind of deal with certain issues too that can kind of put someone into a dark place. So I myself suffer from PTSD from my tours that I did in Iraq 3 times. So I want to be an advocate for those who are thinking that maybe committing suicide might be a better way, but it's not. And you can talk to other individuals who have been through difficult times, and we can share those talks and come out and walk, and you can put all that anger and that distress into the ground and switch out the pain, in a sense.
Is there any solution that's really going, anything active that people are really actively doing to stop this problem? Because it's a continuous problem. This is a very serious issue that's near and dear to my heart, because I have a lot of friends that have suffered through this. And one of my friends had to go through a $50,000 treatment program that was not covered by the VA. I've had other friends that it seems like they don't cover a lot, and there's like a lot of problems. I know I might be upsetting people, but this is serious, and what have you heard about what's going on?
Well, from my own personal experience, I actually went through the VA, and I do counseling with the VA up in Oakhurst. Occasionally I'll go in and just talk to somebody and just have that outlet. It's nice to sit around with the old guys from the olden wars and just kind of be like amongst true war heroes in a sense.
Somebody that gets it.
Yeah, exactly. And it feels comfortable that way. It's just a change in mindset that has to happen, and it's difficult when you're faced with like survivor's remorse or thinking you're not adding up to what's going on, and at the same time you're trying to be humble because you did what you did because nobody else wanted to, and it's something that you're passionate for. So you have to fight through all these dark channels and not go down that route. And so that mindset change has to happen by wanting to seek help. You don't have to go see someone professional. Again, you can just see another fellow soldier and just talk. And that's going to be the biggest thing to move forward, is to let people talk. Because if they can't talk, they can't get that out, to let that aggression go in a different channeling. If you sit around your house and you mope and you look at the bottom of a bottle thinking the answer's there, there's something at the bottom of the bottle. It's absolutely nothing. It's just an empty bottle.
But what is like as a community what we could do? How can we reach out? What's something that proactive that we could do?
I think that by letting people know that there are others that care, just even those who aren't in the service, to let them know that, hey, somebody cares about you. The community is reaching out and saying, hey, you can come over here. What can we do to help mitigate the stress that you're going through in the civilian world? Because that's the difficult life sometimes, is just day-to-day life.
Transitioning.
Yes, correct.
Well, my understanding, and tell me if I'm wrong, and if you want to accurately like depict it, I feel like there's always like a battle going on in your head that you can't shut off. PTSD. That's how I would like. So it's like you have no control over that ongoing movie that you can't shut off, or that battle going on. Is that how you would describe this type of PTSD?
Yeah, for me, it's more smells and sounds. Sometimes I'll be thinking like, I'm just having really good, I'm sleeping, everything's well, and then I'll hear something, or a certain sense will come in. Diesel fuel burning somehow does something, and certain thumps will aggravate and bring something up. Right when you think that you're just over it, something happens, and then that infuriates you because you think you're doing so much better, and then that pops in. You're like,
that spot again.
Seriously, again. So it just that the form is different for each individuals. I have a buddy that the smell of chicken being cooked, he'll eat chicken, but he can't be there while it's being cooked. It sets him off. So there's just those different things that based on how your PTSD is triggered is how you have to figure out how to fight through it. And to be honest, that's why I got into real estate. I do real estate on the side so I could talk to people, because it was hard for me to interact with normal folk when I came back, not to use four-letter words when you're having a conversation with somebody. In the real world, it's not an approved approach.
No. Well, no, one of my good friends with PTSD, we're at a Starbucks, and I just felt this constant state of he's like, well, this is why I have to sit by the door, and every time something opened, it was just like, there is so much just going on that there is no way for him to relax. It was just such a struggle to see like that going on. It was like always kind of that flight or fight.
It is.
Survival. There was never like, and so is that part of what the problem is?
Yeah, and I also recognize those demons, and I'll sit there and sit with my back to the door just to try to, but I only do it when I'm with people I trust, so that way it's a slower, that's my transition. That's what I'm doing to help with my transition, is to be able to sit with my back to the door and just try to work through that, because you're always constantly scanning where's going on, where's the closest exit, who looks shady in your mindset, what's happening, how can I protect the people I'm with if something bad happens.
And you can't turn that off. It's kind of like a background, just like
you think it's off,
like a profiling almost.
Correct. Yeah, you're not doing it intentionally, but when you're out on patrol, that's what you did. If we come into contact here, where am I going? Where are my guys? Where's this? And who am I going to talk to? So those are the things that you're going through when you're there, and then when you come home, sitting in the restaurant, you're trying to figure out how not to do that. But that's the difficult part, and to get that to shut off can be difficult, but thinking that taking your life is the way to do it is not the way to shut it off.
Isn't it mainly to calm all of that, because you don't think you can ever get better in all that noise that's going on in your head and nightmares? Because some people are just living, every time they go to sleep, it's just not, isn't that part of the reason why it gets to that point?
Correct.
Can you explain a little bit about nightmares?
Yeah, so like night terrors in a sense. Sometimes when you've been overexposed, myself, I do like my 2 weeks I'm still supposed to do in the National Guard, and I'll get overexposed being in that environment, sleeping outside, doing the Army realm, and then I'll come home trying to relax, and things will happen. I'll go back into memories while you're sleeping, and it's not, most of the time I can't remember. All I know is that I'm waking up sweating, and it means I was dreaming of something. or I'm thinking about times over there, and I wake up. And that's, you don't ever really get into REMF, and so there's a lot of sleeping disorders.
Right.
So by not going through all the complete sleep cycles, that hurts you as an individual anyways. Even if you're doing the gym or going to working just to be a normal person, you have to have those sleep cycles. You have to sleep. And when you're not sleeping, it messes with you. Sleep deprivation is not fun.
And have you heard of EMDR therapy? Have you ever tried that?
No, I've not. Nor
Well,
have
it's
I.
rumored that that's supposed to actually be a cure for PTSD. I've heard, and then I did, one of the friend that I was telling you about had taken it, but he also said that the VA wasn't covering that particular therapy. The VA has like their therapist they go to, because the EMDR is like a newer, or it's,
Correct, okay.
so is there a way, how can we make things change within the VA or within like everybody getting the help that they really need?
Well, I think with the first step of being able not to go to the VA, that was implemented, being able to go to outside source, and the VA still covers that, like a traditional healthcare in a sense. I think that those new ideas for mental health will be more easier embraced and be able to be paid for. I just think it's the government. Nothing ever happens overnight.
Is that something that we're working towards? Because I don't know exactly. I mean, because you're in this, I'm thinking you're getting more of an inside word. Is that something that's you hear as a possibility of happening?
Right, with more and more people going and seeking the help, and more people, the community asking questions. Why can't we do this? Why can't they? Like you're asking, why
Right.
can't they do that? It triggers other people to ask those same questions, and I think that as time goes, I don't see an issue why any of that wouldn't be an acceptable practice.
And so when you get with your buddies from back then, I know a lot of times you guys all move to different areas. So, like, I don't know if you guys get a reunion, like, once a year reunion, we try to catch up. Do you guys go to those dark places and talk about it? Or do you guys really put on this front that everything's okay? Hey, we made it. This is our family now. And don't talk about those things. What's been your experience?
It's more of it's there. It's like the white elephant in the room sometimes.
Yeah.
And it does get brought up. Alcohol does induce a lot of those memories. But at the same time, it allows you to talk, and because you're with a friend, they do come up, but usually it's not happening inside at the bar. It'll be walking out to the car, or when they come over to your house on a more personal level. Not very much happens at the bar other than talking about what happened, in the sense of, hey, that was really cool when this happened, or do you remember Joe Snuffy when he did that? Those are more what the memories are: happy, fun, exciting events. And then if it's darker, that usually happens going to the car, or if somebody comes over and wants to just talk, more or less at the bar. Because the bar is more of an escape. And to be with your friends, that's the escape. It's to disappear for a little bit and try not to bring that up.
Right. Are there things going on now to educate people maybe getting into the military? Because I think a lot of people going in, it's like, okay, I might lose a limb, I might lose my life. No one really thinks, hey, I might lose my mind. This is like something that happens later. Are you guys going into, like, with the younger people that are going in and saying, hey, we're not discouraging you from serving your country, but these are some things that to be aware of? Are we doing any of that or not really?
Yes, we have a lot of mental health. It literally takes up a lot of conversation that happens in
Early
the
on.
military. Yes.
Okay.
And so I did 3 years on active duty, but I did all of my time now has been in the National Guard. So on my drill weekends, those are part of our conversations. And then we have counselors. I went to a seminar to learn how to be a counselor to soldiers at a smaller level, not at the... If it's too extreme, then I take it to the officers who deal with mental health more, but I'm just an advocate that they can come to and talk to and say I'm having issues, and then I teach classes on different ways of dealing with stress and understanding that this is a real thing that can happen, and to know and to be able to recognize those things when they are happening, so you can step away or try to change your mindset before it completely takes over.
That's good. I'm glad that that's happening.
It has to. It has to, and it has to also not be, I might be sick, but I'm not like, I shouldn't be judged based off of those things just because I don't sleep well sometimes or certain things irritate me quicker than most people. I shouldn't have to be judged on those things, and that's what we're trying to let people know is it's not a disease as they try to make it to be. It's just you saw something that most people aren't ever going to see, but there's different levels. I mean, you don't have to be in the military to have PTSD. You could,
I know.
You could something could happen to you in the civilian world that could cause the same thing. So it's just understanding and having an outlet, I think, is the biggest key. And that's what I always tell my soldiers is don't take what you think is the easy way out. There's 30 of us in this room. You can talk to any one of us. So it's just, that's where it needs to start.
So have you experienced with friends close to you that have taken their lives? Or?
I'm fortunate. I have. My buddies have not done that. I have had a friend whose buddy did, and he contacted me last year, and those pictures that we wear on our backs, I went to 22 Too Many and asked them to research it, and they said yes, this did happen. So they then created a picture of him, and we wore him on our back. Well, one of the guys wore him on his back last year when we walked in remembrance. So yeah, it touches, it hits. It could be somebody, but it's just letting people know that they're not forgotten. We understand they went through a hard time, even though they have taken their life. But at the same time, we're saying we're remembering you, we got you, and we're going to support you out here until it's our time to go home.
Wow. So Yosemite, who started the Yosemite hike though? You started it.
I did.
And did this happen? How long has this been going on?
Okay, so the hike's been going on for 5 years.
Okay.
For 5 years. I actually did one in 2009 before my last deployment in 2010. I did it for the Wounded Warrior Project.
Nice.
And after coming home, I was like, man, I need to start doing this again and trying to help people. And so I just was like, let's do something crazy and let's go hike through Yosemite and try to survive. Because those going to the gym and those type of pain that's caused, I mean, there's that short time where you lapse on what you're thinking negatively because you're just trying to make it. There's like, like kind of like a coming to Jesus moment at sometimes where it's like, hey, could you just zap me to the top of the mountain? I won't tell nobody because I hurt really, really bad and I can't make the next 6 miles, So it's just like your whole thought process is left, right, till I get to the next rest point so I can sleep. And that takes away that pain that's upstairs in your head, and it puts it in your feet and your back and your shoulders, and you just focus on that and you forget about everything else that's bothering you. And that's the biggest thing with the hike. It's a way to get away from it all.
So are you just looking for other veterans, or you're looking for civilians also to do
Yeah,
the hike, right?
correct. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody who wants to come along, who wants to walk for 7 days, we have somebody who sponsored the food. So your food's taken care of if you come for all 7 days. If you just come for the 2 days, you'll have to provide your own food and snacks for that time frame. But I have your main courses and your water supply for all 7 days. If whoever decides to go.
That's good.
And you can just reach out to me on the website or through Facebook at 22 Too Many Yosemite, and you can ask the questions and see the routes for the first day that we're going to be taking.
And did you do the last few years? Oh, you said it's for 5 years been going. Did you do each or just the one in 2009?
No, each year. So
Each year.
this will be my 5th year. We've had fires in Wawona that have caused us to change locations where we start. We've changed the route. What happens is having those pictures on our backs really implements people to talk. And we set these deadlines like, hey, today we're going to walk 13 miles and we have so many hours to do it. We never make those deadlines because we're interacting with people on the trail the whole time. And which is the purpose of the hike, is to enlighten people about what's happening in the world of suicide amongst veterans. So it takes a long time. So what should only we only plan to walk for 6 hours, and sometimes we walk for 12.
Wow. And there's been a rise in the suicide per day, correct? I mean, there's been an increase.
Right. And that just, it's just that fluctuation that happens. I don't know if it's because the awareness is there that maybe people just see it as something to do, or is it just where at a certain time where everybody's just at their wits' end at the same time and they just can't cope anymore. It's the numbers is a difficult game to play because you can think you're doing good for a time and then something happens and it feels like you're going backwards.
That's what I'm saying. More needs to be done.
Yes, it does, and it's just as much awareness that can get brought out there, sharing, and bringing up that you care is a vital role to what's going on.
Well, I really hope that people watching this it'll take some effect on them and that they will go on this walk. And then I'm also hoping that we could really make a big change, like we could write our city councilmen or do something to just spread awareness so that we can really properly take care of our military.
Yes.
So they can really get the help that they need and get more of this advanced therapy
it's out there, and it's our being veterans, it's our step first, and that's what's going to be the hardest. So my first tour in Iraq was 2004. I didn't seek help till 2011.
And why was that?
Pride, a feeling that I didn't do as much as somebody else. I have all my limbs. I'm just messed up upstairs, but I mean I can function. I have my eyesight and not having deformities, so I didn't feel that I needed the assistance that was out there as other soldiers that have experienced more trauma than I have. So I felt less of an individual because of it. So it just took some time to say, hey, something's not right. I need to go talk to somebody.
Did therapy help a lot that you did get?
Yeah, and it kind of told me like difference what white noise is. So like I go sleep with TV on or having electronics on before you go to bed. It's just like the worst thing in the world, but I didn't know. It is what I did to sleep. To just be so bored after watching TV, you just fall asleep. But that sound's always in the background, and it's not really helping you like you think it is. So it has helped. It allows me to talk to somebody, and then it just helps me be able to be someone that others can talk to as well.
And we have the website for the 22 Too Many, because you guys are also taking donations.
Yes. So 22 Too Many is who all the money goes to that's raised, and they're the ones that gave me the permission to be able to use their name into the Yosemite. So I worked really close with them, and they gave me permission to do all of that without getting in trouble with copyright or stealing, because that's the biggest thing that happens is people will use these organizations to falsely receive money that goes nowhere. So that's the biggest issue. So they were nice enough to let me do that. So
one thing I'm wondering, I don't know if you've come across this, but what about the family of veterans? I mean, do some of the spouses and children, do they need therapy? I would think that some of these things, I know they didn't experience combat, but just dealing with
you.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's what I was thinking. I mean, I can only imagine how it's got to be on them. And I don't think, does the military even cover that for if a spouse needs therapy of all that? I mean, do they?
I've never looked into it. I do know that, so I was married for almost 13 years, and they allowed me to they would take care of the marriage counseling only because I have PTSD.
Okay.
So I never asked my former spouse to go with me into any therapy. However, she always said maybe I should go talk to them because I'm sure that there is something that is portrayed that I'm doing that would be more than maybe what I'm letting my counselors or people know about
Right,
it.
right.
Yeah. So, but no, I don't know if they do or not. They should, because it's vital.
Well, these are things I would really love to see change and really want to see happen, because, like I said, I care very deeply about a lot of my friends have experienced this, and so I was just wondering, as a community, what we can do.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about talking to your congressman and promoting events like 22 Too Many, and letting people know that, hey, you care, you want to see a change, and see if it provokes something out here in the real world, because there is something happening within the military community with the whole conferencing and talking and training, just even people at a small level like myself to interact with soldiers dealing with the trauma.
Okay, Bryce, now I'm going to switch gears here. Why did you pick August, the hottest month of the year, to do this hike?
Well, excuse me. So, first of all, the park, some of those trails don't open up until mid-June because of the snow levels. So you have snow to deal with in the early parts of June. July is the 4th of July, so you got to deal with the holiday. August...
Nobody wants to be in that heat. Okay, now that makes sense.
Then you climb up to those altitudes, and it's only 80.
Okay.
You know, the highest we're going to be going is about 10,500. It's going to be cold at night, but while you're walking, it's 75, 82 degrees, so it's nice. And then you get down to the valley floor, then you start feeling the heat that comes in, but by then it just rolls off your back, because there's a cheeseburger at the Yosemite Lodge that you're going to go eat.
Nice.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, let's plug your real estate. You said you're a realtor, so what
I
do you...
appreciate it, thanks.
Yeah, let's...
I'm with Keller Williams Realty here in Fresno. I'm working on building my business. I live in Mariposa.
Did they have something to do with the 22, or is that just you? Because I saw that on the plug, so I wasn't sure. Is that just you, or they're participating?
They participate so we have these, so when a commission is given on the end of a transaction, 22 Too Many has given their nonprofit number to Keller Williams, and as agents complete a sale, they donate a certain amount of their commission to the hike.
Nice.
So
that's really sweet. And you got them involved in that.
Correct, yes.
That is
yes.
so awesome.
And they're very open, very, very good people to interact with. And Keller Williams actually has a military side. So when they have these like mega camps and then all these realtors get together and talk, Keller Williams created a military. And so just real estate agents who are military veterans, we all get together and hang out and talk real estate and military at the same time. It's just a really nice little advocate. And they're on the veteran part of the KW, the VE and the T has 22 stars in it. So even they realize the importance of bringing awareness about suicide. So
that's great. Go Keller Williams. I have a new respect for it. Well, awesome. So if you went about your houses, where do you like?
Okay, I've done real estate transactions here in Fresno, Clovis, and up in Mariposa. I live in Mariposa and I drive to Fresno every day for the Army because I work full time for them.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So I just make that commute every day. So if I'm driving it and you want to go see a house, I'm like, yeah, I'm on my way home. Let's go look at something. So
nice.
I'm out anyway, so it's good. And I thought about working real estate up in the mountains, but the problem is after an hour and a half drive home, I really just want a beer and hang out with my family and not really do business. So I figured if I got a real estate company here in Fresno while I'm still in the business mindset, I would just go to the office, work for a little bit, and then go home.
That's good. Thank you so much for coming.
I think that I've seen your face somewhere all over the place. Standing there preaching you would change, but you never did, baby.
Welcome back to Everything Sparkle. Before me, I have Bobby Salazar's Chips and Salsa. I just want to say, best chips and salsa ever. Also, if you look at our wonderful graphics, it's by Next Level Design. And they are sponsors of our show, Next Level Design and Bobby Salazar's, which has the best salsa in the world, I want to say. And You'll know because I'm going to eat it right now. And it's actually low calorie. So I am a personal trainer that promotes us. What I'm dipping into it isn't, but the salsa itself is good. But, you know, the celery and salsa didn't sound good today. So I decided, you know, have a cheat day, have a chip. And Michael Long is going to tell us how to live longer. And hopefully he's okay with me having a chip and everything. Hopefully this is in your spiel of how we can live longer.
Oh, yeah, we can do all that.
Okay, the nutritionist Michael Long. Okay,
Yeah.
what's up?
Well, let me just say my journey kind of started about in 2012 or so. The last 3 years of my mother's life, she had Alzheimer's really bad. And then about a year or so later, my dad developed dementia. And so along about that time, I heard a presentation about how you can slow that whole process down, and maybe we can even push back a little bit on it. So I really started to get into the whole thing about the science of it and all of that whole thing. So it goes all the way back to the 1930s. But first, let me say that the disclaimer here is that I'm not here to fix anything or cure anything. I'm going to talk about the science first, and I'm really into it. So, especially the science, because it's kind of like it's drama. It's really, there's a lot of drama to this. So anyway, what happened was they figured out in 1930 that there was a telomere, or there was something at the end of a chromosome, but they couldn't quite figure out what the heck it was and what the function of it was.
What is a telomere?
A telomere is a structure at the end of a chromosome. And why that's so important, especially in this day and age, is it holds all of our DNA together. And why that's so important is think of it as like software in a computer. So for your body, but it's like for your whole body. But what happens is, as we go along, and this is a whole environmental thing, and I'm going to really kind of promote that whole side of it, is that the telomeres will begin to wear down, and you will begin to lose your DNA. You have things like senior moments. Like I started having senior moments in my 30s and 40s.
How do you lose your DNA?
Because what happens is the telomeres get short, they cycle. Throughout your life, they cycle, and they get shorter and shorter and shorter. There's a measurement, it's called, when you're conceived, it's a length called 15,000. And then when you're born, it's at 10,000. And then as you go through life, finally, when it gets down to about 5, the whole thing just unravels, and you start to lose everything. And these are all related to things like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, and the list goes on. And they've connected all of these things to that. So that's why this is so important. But the other part of it is too, and I don't mean to be a super tree hugger here, but our world is getting more polluted all the time. And I wouldn't have said that unless I hadn't experienced it for myself with my parents. So basically, even as far away as in Alaska, where you think is this pristine wilderness, the Eskimo women are showing up with 300 different chemicals in their breast milk. So they're not getting away from it. No matter how far in the world that you go, it's catching up with us in the environment. So basically...
Aw, that's a good picture.
Yeah, now that's interesting, because that is my grandmother. She just passed away at 104. Now, interesting thing about that picture was, and we were really close. She golfed. I hung out with her. She taught me how to cook.
Fun.
I'm half Portuguese, so she taught me how to cook Portuguese. We just had Fresno State out there and did a whole interview with her before she passed away.
How sweet.
Yeah, it was very fun. Now, the interesting thing is, she lived to be 104, but my mother only lived to be about 82. So there is something
And
going on.
that's her mom. The 104 is the 82-year-old.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So why is there a difference? Why did one live to be 104 and the other one only lived to be 102? So my 104-year-old grandmother grew up on a farm her whole life, and the water that she drank came from a well. It was filtered through the sand out in the country.
I've always been saying there's something in the water.
No, seriously, there is. Okay, here's a thought. You know, we use fluoride in our toothpaste, but we're told to spit it out because there's fluoride in it. But fluoride shows up in our water all the time,
Right.
and we drink it all the time, and we swallow it. So the key word here is something called accumulative. It happens throughout our whole
What's
life.
that word one more time?
Accumulative.
Oh, accumulative. Okay, yeah, I got
it
it.
accumulates. Okay? And so what happens is this: if we go through life, we're out there at painting, we're out there in the fields, we're putting things on the vines, on the plants, whatever. It gets in our soil. Matter of fact, UCLA started a study back in the 1950s. And what they found was when they started putting herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, everything, it started to kill the microorganisms that were in the soil that basically broke down the minerals. And when that happened, it shows a steep rise of all these things like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, and so on. So there is a definite connection, starting with the industrial age, of how all this stuff began to happen. So it's in the planes overhead. I mean, I'm not saying that they're on purpose spitting out toxic fumes, but it is showing up even as far as Alaska. So, I mean, it's all over, and even in Fresno, it shows up in the breast milk that's going on here, because we constantly are eating preservatives in our food, and preservatives lead to free radicals, and free radicals lead to cancer. But this is going on now, and especially, and this all started basically in the 50s, and the whole problem is that the telomeres of our children are shorter now than people from my generation and your generation, because all they eat is fast foods all day long. So I just kind of find this whole thing rather interesting, is that where do we go from here? How do we do that? So, having said all that, the interesting thing is, like I said, I started studying all this, and so about in the 1930s, they figured out that there's a telomere at the end of a chromosome, but they didn't know the function of it. So from the 30s, so on, a group of different scientists came along, and they figured out what the function of a telomere was, and they were able to actually take mice and shorten telomeres. Now, the thing that makes a telomere long, it's called a telomerase, and telomerase is an enzyme. And that all goes back to environmental. So what happens is if you're getting it from your air, your water, and your food, as far as the toxicity of all of these things together.
Michael, can you have a chip, please?
Yes.
Please have a chip in the middle of this telomere, and then this
Okay, we'll go
is
from
gonna
there.
help you, like.
Because I've been going on here for a couple minutes. I apologize.
Don't apologize to me.
Okay.
We don't want to lose our audience.
Right. Okay. So, anyway, what they figured out that they could do through all this science and studies is they could actually regrow the telomere.
Okay.
And that is a big deal because, I mean, we've had all these things that are like bombarding us throughout, since the 1950s.
So how do we regrow the telomere?
Well, actually, there was a Nobel Prize won in 2009 by a lady named Blackburn, and she won the Nobel Prize on the function of the telomere and the structure of a telomere. So
we're not scientists. You don't have to
we're
get
not all
that techie
scientists
with
no.
us. So you could just
Okay, so that's kind of all. That's kind of all that is. So what happened from that point is they took these mice. There was a Harvard study, and they were able to flip the telomeres back on. So that is important now, is because they figured out that there was a therapy to flip these telomeres back on.
Okay, what's the therapy?
The therapy is superfood. It's just superfood. It's not a chemical, because chemicals have free radicals, and free radicals cause cancer. So it's all natural. They spent over $30 million and 300,000 different studies to get to this point where we are today.
So like blueberries, like superfoods like that?
Superfoods like blueberries and
Okay.
so forth, but it's even more concentrated than just blueberries. So there should be some slides in there of a woman that is 69 years old. Okay.
Oh gosh, I hope I look like that at 69.
Yeah, so the woman, that's her right there. That's her before and after picture. So what she did is she got on this telomere therapy, right? And it got her so excited, and it got her body functioning on such a high level that she began to enter bikini contests at 69, 70 years old. And that kind of shows you right there what is possible. So, and then there's some other pictures.
So she's been reversing her telomeres? Is that
Exactly.
Okay.
She's been reversing her aging process.
Okay, so how do we do that? We're eating superfoods and what
We're eating
else?
superfoods, and she's exercising. You turn on your electrolytes, and those are the things that are kind of keeping her going and are actually reversing the aging process. The other part of it is that there is a lady down in South America that she's 108 years old. She has no running water, no electricity in her house. She goes down to the little town square. She gets all of her fresh foods and her drinking water, and she has her own social circle of people, and she goes back to where she lives and she cooks over an open fire. Now, that's the other extreme, because the thing of it is we don't do that here in the United States
Correct.
anymore.
Yeah. We have too many people.
Too many people, the air's too messed up.
Okay,
we're
so
doing
what's
all
our
these things.
solution to reversing the aging process? There's got to be a point to all this.
There is.
Michael. Oh,
So-
can't we get there?
Okay, well, I had to tell this other story to get to where I needed to be. So
Okay.
anyway, so this group of scientists were able to come up with this therapy through these 300,000 different studies with the mice. And so they put these mice in a maze. And one mouse they didn't do anything with. The other mouse, they started feeding him this superfood, and it flipped his telomeres back on, and his brain actually regrew to that of a normal brain.
Oh,
now,
nice.
there is a video there that I think Diane
want
Sawyer
more dip?
does. Yes, please. I'm double dipping.
Oh, that's fine.
So-
you have good telomeres, so I have
Thank
no
you,
problem
thank
getting
you.
your...
Can we play that?
Let's play it.
Okay, let's play it. So this will give you an idea.
And now, eternal youth. Is it in a cage around the corner? News tonight of a breakthrough for some pioneering mice. But we always wonder, what does a fountain of youth for rodents reveal for humans? Here's Sharon Alfonsi reporting.
I feel tremendous.
In the movie Cocoon, it's a swimming pool that turns back the clock for a group of senior citizens. But now researchers have found a way not just to stop, but reverse the aging process. The key is something called a telomere. We all have them. They're the tips or caps of your chromosome, seen here in yellow. This is what it looks like in a young adult. But as you grow older, the telomeres become damaged and frayed, and as they stop working, we start aging, experiencing things like hearing and memory loss. Scientists took mice who were prematurely aged, added an enzyme, and essentially turned their telomeres back on. You can see it before the enzyme, after.
Their brain function improved, their fertility was restored. It was a remarkable reversal of the aging process.
Look at this picture. The mouse on the right has bad skin, gray hair, and is balding. But the one on the left had its telomeres flipped back on.
And you could see that essentially you now have a dark coat color, that the hair is restored, that the coat has a nice healthy sheen to it.
Even more dramatic, the change in brain size. This is before. The mice had 75% of a normal brain, like a patient with severe Alzheimer's. But after the telomeres were reactivated, the brain returns to normal size. As for humans, while it is just one factor, scientists now say by looking at our blood cells and measuring those telomeres, you can get a better idea of how well you'll age. The longer the telomere, the better the chances for a more graceful aging. But as for tinkering with them and turning back our aging process, researchers say we still have a long way to go. Sharon Alfonsi, ABC News, New York.
Okay, so this was all done about 2008, 2009 when the Harvard study was going on, and so this says that we still have a long ways to go. So since that period of time, there have been people that are just making all sorts of leaps and bounds to improve their mental capacity, and there's some, I have a couple of slides there. It shows one gentleman, let's see here, there, that gentleman, that's one of them. Now this, he was a boxing announcer. He still is a boxing announcer. In 2011, they were going to send him, they were going to retire him, put him in a home, and that was going to be the end of his story. So what happened was they got him on this supplement, this therapy, So you can see him in 2011, 2012. See how he's already changing? Doesn't even look like the same guy anymore. And 2013. Now he's back to announcing. He did all the big fights like the Thriller Manila with Muhammad Ali and all those people back there. So but his issue was that his heart injections were so low that they couldn't give him the surgery that he needed. So they got his heart injections. They were in the low, like 10s or 12s, and they got him up to into the 50s. So they were able to do that. Now there's another slide there of a gentleman who was about to go into a retirement home. Let's see if we can pull that one up. Okay, this gentleman. It shows him in the picture on the right-hand side there. He has his hand on a retirement home on a doorknob. And so he's about to go in there. Cognitively, that's the key word, is cognitively, he had lost his mind. He was losing it so bad that they were going to put him away. They were so worried about him. They got him on a supplement for about a year. That's him, and he was like 83, 84. That's him at the right side. He's 85, 86 in the far picture. He's 87 now. He's volunteering. He's back in the gym. He's got a nice build on him. Matter of fact, I got on his Facebook page, so we Facebook, and he just had a birthday. He's like 87, 88 years old. So it's very cool of what's going on. And with the woman that just turned 70.
What do we need to do, Michael? I'm still so, I love all this. I love seeing all this. So what do we need to do? If there's a drug, what do I need to take to look hot like all those pictures, like with all the bodybuilders?
Well, what you have to do is get on the supplement that I promote. And I say, I can't say they're cures, but I'm saying that you see the results of those people.
They are good results.
They are awesome results.
Are you on this as well? Because you're a good looking. You're a good looking man.
Well, thank you. But I've been on it for about 4 years myself, and I notice that people, when I tell them my age, nobody believes me that I'm 100 years old.
So everybody looks good. You also get energy.
You do. You get a lot of energy because I notice first thing in the morning, I get on it, my energy level goes up, and then it kind of slides down, and pick it back up in the afternoon. So I take 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and it does.
Do you know those men personally?
I do not know those men. Those men are part of our in our company we have a program that's called the IsoBody Challenge.
Okay.
And that's the other side. Well, so we have the healthy aging side, and then we have the sports side of our.
Did you bring me any supplements to try?
I have some out in my car I could give you, and if you want a shake, I can give you a shake.
I want to date with one of those guys, but I'll take the supplement if that's what you brought.
Yeah, I have some. I have some I can give you. But yeah, and those were a result of being on the shakes, and there's a cleanse that goes along with it.
Is this really expensive?
Well, okay. A thing
Be
about
honest.
a thing about the shakes. Okay, they're under $3 for a shake, and a shake is
that's pretty good.
It's a complete meal. It comes in a whole variety of flavors. You get all of your proteins. You get all the minerals. Because, like I said,
what about the 2 pills a day? How much is all that?
They're about $3 a day, something like that.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So right around.
That's like a cup of coffees at Starbucks is a lot. So this isn't bad at all.
Yeah. So okay, for example, let's say that you're going to McDonald's and having a Big Mac meal.
Right.
That's like $10, and you're getting about 1,800 calories. Well, here for under $3, you're getting everything that you need, and you're getting all the minerals, all the proteins, all the chain.
When are you going to start seeing results? How long have you been on the program?
For my dad, I started seeing results for him in like 5 days.
Oh,
and
wow,
my mother too. My mother too. Yeah.
Are there any negative side effects?
Well, it just depends on how many different pharmaceuticals that you're on. So in other words, it'll flush it all out of your system, and if you're in a home or something, they will take you off of it. So you're better off not being on a whole lot of chemicals. You're better off being really healthy, and because what it'll do is it'll go into your kidney and your livers, and it'll flush everything out. Because I noticed that the very first time that there's been a couple of generations of that supplement, and I noticed the very first time that I got on the latest generation, it flushed everything out. That took me one day, and I
So this would be good. Is there a way, like, let's say people are like, I don't want to commit to something long term like this, to just do kind of a detox once a month? Can we do something?
Yeah, you can do that now.
Like
They have another product that's called. Well, there's 2 things that you can do. You can add greens. We have a super fortified greens that you can add to your shakes. And I have a friend down in Southern California, and he claims just with the greens, it comes in a stick, or it comes in a little tub, and you add that to your shake, and that will help flush additional toxins out of your body. Or you can do what's called Cleanse for Life. Now, Cleanse for Life, what that does is it also cleanses the toxins out of your fat cells. It's a cellular cleanse. One of my friends lost 27 pounds in a month off of the cleanse without exercise.
Nice.
Yeah, it's super, yeah.
So we have all your information so we can get all these supplements that you can't say on...
Yeah, I can't really go into detail. I don't want to get the company in trouble.
Well, I think you're attractive, Michael, so if I could take something and look like you... But I do know you work out a lot because I see you at the gym all the time.
I'm there like 4 or 5 days a week.
And, I mean, can I, like, ask like, a personal question that might help with all this? You have, like, a really full head of hair. Is that part of, like, taking these?
Interesting question, because you know what? There's a friend of mine who's in the Reno area, and his hair was gray. And he started taking the Cleanse for Life, but he was drinking like a whole bottle at a time, like he was thinking it was a Coke. And his hair went from gray to black. He's amazing. And he went from having a big pot belly to having a V back. And
nice.
I've always had a nice head of hair. Thank you, God, but I've always had a nice head of hair. And it's getting a little darker, and it's thick. And it also, your fingernails, you got to constantly keep trimming them back. And I constantly have to keep getting a haircut like every couple of weeks, constantly. So, I mean, that's the downside. If there's it's the downside.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's already, I mean, I have a lot of guy friends. You've already sold them on that.
Okay.
So when all you guys are doing all this steroids, want to stop doing that, get on this and you can grow all your hair back.
Yeah, you might want to even look into the Isobody Challenge, because we have it for women. And also, let's see, I think there's a picture there of Lori Harder. Lori Harder was a competitive trainer. That's her with the oxygen background there. Now, Lori trained for she was in competition for 5 years.
Nice.
And she got on some of the supplements that helped her lose that additional mid-belly
So this is
fat.
good for the people in the bodybuilding.
Oh, absolutely it is, because
But not if they want to take steroids, because you said this is going to flush all that out.
Yeah, you
So
don't.
if they're naturally competing.
Yeah, but I mean,
The 1%.
yeah, but see, the other thing too is that I know people that have won national titles, national titles.
No, I have to. I'm just joking.
And I know, but I'm just saying that it helps remove that additional little layer of body fat that it's so difficult to get rid of get rid of the toxins that are in your belly.
And also training with Sparkle, if you guys.
Training with Sparkle,
This and
yeah.
training with me. I just want to thank my good friend Chris Mackey, who's here. Come here, Mac Daddy. You got to come. You want to bring your sign?
No, probably not.
He's been bringing. He had a lovely little sign he made me. But come eat a chip, because you love Bobby Salzer's chip.
I love them too.
You could do your shtick.
No.
When you eat your chip. What? Can you go down? You're really tall. Stop making my camera guy work overtime right now. What's your shtick? You're gonna do an acting?
I was going to do a whole thing. And
You better not throw them on the ground.
we were going to have a food fight.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were gonna take your shirt off or something.
No.
He's been on the supplements. You want to see what that looks like? Actually, let's do that. Let's do it before and after. We'll do the shirt off today. Come back in 6 months and let's see how you look. That'd be such a great advertisement, right? A live before and after. I love that, Maggie. Next time, Mac Daddy. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Everything Sparkle. We have a great show next week. Oh my gosh. You guys have to stay tuned for that one, because that's going to be pretty exciting.